Welcome to the Forge by Design podcast. This is your host, Daniel Badijo. Thank you so much for all your support. I really appreciate your comments. Of course, you can find us on YouTube, Forge by Design, or through Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So once again, thank you so much. Today, again, it's a great event. It's a great moment because we have a pioneer in the industry, a man of great wealth that I had the privilege and the honor to meet. And yes, I was one of his students and pupils regarding leadership, communication, and all these automotive necessities that we need to have in order to become better managers and, of course, better co-workers. Without further ado, Mr. Elliot Price.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yes.
He is the Augusta Regional Manager for Georgia MEP, the Georgia Manufacturing Extension Partnership.
You got it.
That is one long acronym, but I think I've got it packed down. And without further ado, thank you so much for the honor.
Oh, thanks for having me here.
For the privilege of being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your career, and how did you ended up empowering such a multitude of professionals throughout your career.
Oh, that I appreciate. That seems to be one of the things that I pride myself on is actually being able to see the light bulb go off in the people I work with. It's but anyway, to give you some background to it, I graduated from Georgia Tech back in 1976, before many of your watchers were even born. But I got my degree in industrial engineering. And my first job out of school was in Chicago.
In Chicago, that's Chicago.
Yeah, it was. I went down there on January the 4th. I can remember it. Just riding down Lakeshore Drive, and did a little skid for the first time when I was on some ice. My first time seeing ice or driving on ice. But basically, I went to a place that I knew nobody, and I had an opportunity to be a frontline supervisor for a folding carton operation called Mead Packaging Paper Company. And fortunately, I had a couple people who took me under their wings and made me feel comfortable. And so I guess the first thing I learned from all of that is that, don't get down. You have to have an attitude to succeed.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
From that, I met the local police department there in Lansing where I was living, and got involved with them with softball and social.
Nice.
And
so
that helped me out there
sports,
too.
Huh? Did you play sports in high school or in college? Or?
I was quite a sports person. Okay. Yes, as a matter of fact, I had a full scholarship to Georgia Tech.
Oh wow!
And I played at Georgia Tech all my years, and I started for 3 years.
Outstanding.
So yeah,
what position did you play?
I played tight end.
Tight end.
Yeah, I was actually just to give you an idea of what drives me. The first year I was there was too much competition, and the coach says, "You're not going to play here." So I spent time going to the games and spending time in the stands, watching the players and saying, "I'm never going to." But I recognized what I needed to have in order to play.
Sure.
So I started working out with weights, and I also, at that time, learned to block because I had to be on the dummy team against the first team defense for a whole year.
Wow.
And fortunately, Pepper Rogers came, and Pepper Rogers was looking for a guard to play tight end, basically somebody who could block and had some speed.
Wow.
Well, it turned out perfect for me, but it would never have happened if I hadn't,
persisted. Yes.
Prepared myself.
Correct.
Prepared myself, and so it was a great experience.
Well, I gotta see some of these photos now. I'm very intrigued and curious about this young Elliot Price.
That was
that's outstanding.
Yeah.
And so, from the meat packaging, what position did you have?
I was a frontline supervisor.
Frontline supervisor.
Okay. It was a folding carton operation. So if you can think of a blank carton going down a machine, that all of a sudden you have different folds, and then you have some gluing that occurs, and by the time that the blank comes to the end, it's a carton such as a beer, a case of beer or Coca-Cola, where you have a 6-pack of Coke.
A lot of automation.
A lot of automation to it. Yes, a lot of automation to it. You had a feeder, and then the line itself would do the folding for you. And so I was operated that, and I guess one of my first learning experience was as that frontline supervisor. I had one of the operators, and I wanted to prove myself,
Sure.
I was at my first job out of school, so I wanted to prove myself. And he pulled me to the side, and he says, "You're working awful hard out here." If you can rely on us a little bit, I guarantee you'll get more out of us.
Wow.
And so I learned to begin with to rely on those individuals who I'm working with.
Sure. Synergy, teamwork.
Synergy, teamwork, and just exactly, synergy and teamwork was what I realized, and I also realized that there had to be trust between those you're working with in order for you to get the most out of those individuals.
Absolutely. John C. Maxwell, he talks a lot about influence. You have to have influence with your peers in order to create that environment, that atmosphere where there's mutual collaboration, there's trust, open dialogue, open communication, honesty, all those things. And those things do not happen overnight. I wish that as a young quality manager, I knew all these things.
I know.
But I honestly learned in the trenches. I learned by doing a lot of mistakes, and I think the good Lord blessed me with a lot of people that had a lot of patience with me. Right, the seniority, people like yourself. That if you were saw the young Daniel, you would have said, let me give this this young engineer pointers in order to create a team environment. So after that, what was the trajectory to get all the way here to Georgia MEP?
Well, I was fortunate to be able to get a promotion at that time back to Atlanta, where my family was at, and I became an industrial engineer there and did a lot of industrial engineering projects. So I was able to understand all aspects of the manufacturing environment. Absolutely. And working with the ways to improve those processes. And so from that, then I took a leadership role in the local industrial engineering chapter, and met an individual name was Sherman. I'll have to give him credit for it.
Sure.
And he says, I think you would enjoy working for Georgia Tech. And so he enticed me to leave a good company, a good job, and then become part of Georgia Tech.
And how many years has that been?
41 years now.
Oh, wow.
41 years. Yes.
Oh,
and a lot lot of things have changed during that time.
The youth wants to use that word. Geez,
that's a lot of years. It's a good word to use.
That's a lot of years. Well, that's great seniority. First of all, the ambience, the impact that you made, and the contribution I'm assuming that you have made at Georgia Tech. I have seen it. For those that don't know, he has been very impactful in training some of my group, some of my team, and every experience. I think it has been two or three. I think two occasions.
We've been together twice. Yes.
Okay. Every time you have exited, everyone has so many accolades about your training style, about how you can break complex things into more simpler manner without using a lot of engineering jargon and terminology that may lose some of the younger rookies and new hires that we have, and they have embraced your training, so to speak. I also like the fact that you started, we can say, at a micro level, and then working your way up to a macro level, from a frontline supervisor to now empowering and training people in different organizations, different backgrounds, and how the exposure on the operations side, giving you greater context, an overview of how things are ran. Perhaps there may be different industry, medical or automotive, but pretty much, they have process flow diagrams, they have PPAPs, they have work instructions, procedures, their communication issues, and so forth, and how you're able to customize your training. I'm assuming, you've seen people from different age groups, different backgrounds, and all that, and how have you been able to adjust and accommodate and find what the youth call your own mojo, your own style of training?
Yeah, well, fortunately, working with Georgia Tech, naturally, a lot of our courses are made so that we're presenting 3 or 4 different ways. We know those people who like to have hands-on. And so we have some kind of interactive type of training that goes along with it, exercises and things like that where people have to be involved. Some people just like to be lectured to. Some people like to be included. Some people like to sit on the sideline.
Sure.
So it's the biggest thing is being able to come into a class and identify the people that are in your class. And if you're truly committed to providing information that's going to be of value to them and have them accept that, you have to accept that on their terms.
Sure.
So a big part of that is to understand those people. There's some people who like to be engaged and to be involved in the process, and so I let them participate. A lot of times, peer-to-peer opportunities gives them a chance to others to learn from them.
Yeah, sure. There are people that are extroverts and introverts in between.
Exactly.
Well, one of my greatest fears, again, I've been in quality assurance for quality management operations for quite some time, and when we bring people in, I like to gauge the room. And you
That's
see,
it. That's exactly
it doesn't
right.
matter. There's a lot of nervousness sometimes, even with senior engineers or functional managers, line supervisors. There's always that nervousness about how is this instructor going to conduct this training?
Yes.
How much paperwork are we going to receive or forms we have to fill out? Is he going to put me on the spot? And for those that are maybe don't have a lot of public speaking or shy, they don't want to be put in the front or use as an example. How are you able to accommodate? So you read the room. The first thing you do, read the room. And once you, I guess, know your audience, how do you develop that trust within that group?
Well, the biggest thing in developing the trust is in initially getting an opportunity for the individuals to communicate a little bit about themselves.
Okay.
And just in their ability to go around the room and say your experience, what you're doing now, and something that nobody else knows about you. You can gain a lot of knowledge about those individuals, especially in their hobbies. Those that enjoy doing volunteer work, and you can tell those people who like to help others. So you kind of identify that up front by having them communicate and understand them too. So that's one way of doing that. There's also some processes that you can do, because a lot of times some of the quiet people really have a lot to say. As a matter of fact, you mentioned the different kinds of people. I break it into 4 groups. You have expressive people. People who are really goal-oriented but love to be in the end zone with everybody holding up the ball when they score. Right?
I think that's me.
I think we're both in the same category. I think that's and I have a lot of. I look at you very as a top manager. I see how you treat your people and how you deal with your people.
Thank you.
And I think that's exemplary. So you have people like that. And then you have people who are drivers who are still goal-oriented, but they'd rather be in the end zone by themselves. Holding that ball up, and that's as long as they score. I'm happy with that. Then you have the analytical people who just love numbers.
Absolutely.
And you can tell those people in the group, because they're always asking questions, not particularly about learning the subject, but just something relating to details.
Percentages, statistics. Oh, wow.
They'll say, you misspelled a letter in the documents that we handed to you. Things like that. But the person that's most valuable to an organization, and what I think you can set up processes to allow those people to speak up, is the amiable person. Amiable person is a very people-oriented individual. But doesn't really have a lot of goals. They just want to see the family stay together. And those are the quiet ones you see, the ones that are sitting around. But guess what? While everybody else is talking, those amiable people are listening.
Nice.
And because of that, they have a lot of knowledge. So one of the tools we use all the time when in an environment like this is the ability to do brainstorming. And the rules for that is that everybody can give one idea at a time, and we go around the room.
Correct.
Therefore, those amiable people have the ability, without stepping on anybody's toes, to present their information and how they feel about things.
A whole different perspective about the subject matter.
Whole different perspective, and it's amazing the out of the box kind of thoughts that they have.
Sure.
So there are different tools you can use to allow you to get everybody to participate. But then again, also from a trust standpoint, if I see that somebody's uncomfortable, for example, I had some training today. In the class, there was a couple of people who you could tell were very amiable and real nervous because they were with some of their peers, and so so instead of saying it's your turn, I said, any volunteers?
Okay.
just to give them a chance to, so they didn't have to be imposed on and feel uncomfortable,
Right.
because I didn't want to lose them either.
So there are classes I know that you go to educate on a specific subject matter. Have there been occasions where you're actually brought in as a subject matter expert to solve any specific goals, called DMAIC or design issues or process issues, communication issues? They would say, Elliot, we have an opportunity, not to say a problem.
Yes.
We have an opportunity.
Definitely.
How can you steer us in order, or get the group together in order to steer us toward a viable, feasible, practical solution?
Yeah, and there's techniques for doing that too. I understand the process of DMAIC. I understand the process of root cause analysis.
Correct.
I don't understand the process of the organization I'm going into.
That's interesting. Absolutely.
I do not
You're
know.
correct.
I do not know their processes. I do not know their systems, how they're set up. Therefore, when I go into a company and there's a term called a Kaizen, or a study to try to improve a process. It's a team effort.
Absolutely.
We make sure, first of all, the right people are going to be part of that team, and we would facilitate the process of uncovering whatever the problem is. And that's a wonderful opportunity. It's a wonderful thing to do. It's exciting. Brainstorming, cause and effect diagrams, looking at it closely. But mostly is just having people communicate and participate. Because
sorry, that can get out of control, because I'm going to tell you one of the mistakes I made as you're talking, and because one of the mistakes I made, I always try to find out the why we're doing this. Right, we come together. We have an opportunity, root cause analysis, but when I've asked what is your the outcome, everyone would go more so sometimes on a negative rant or tone, instead of being objective about the why we're here together to solve the issue. Have you had opportunities, situations like that, where yes, we're doing a root cause analysis, a tree diagram, and suddenly I'm not sure if the expressive or the data analytics would say this has never worked.
Usually it's the individual whose needs aren't being met. Like if I'm not letting the drivers participate, then they can derail it real quickly, because they'll take it down a different path than it's supposed to be.
Okay.
So initially, I think you mentioned the objective is important.
Absolutely.
Having an objective. The why. Why are we coming together, and what are we trying to solve? What are we trying to improve?
Correct.
And then the easy thing to do to begin with, in order to create that team, is let's define the current state.
Absolutely.
Where are we right now?
Yes. And that's very hard, because, when in the DMAIC, it's all about defining, right? That first stage. And you'd be surprised how vague sometimes people present the current state. My expectation is that we get to the nitty gritty to, what is this current state? Because if we can't define the current state, how do we know what the future state looks like?
What has to happen in order for us to get to that future state?
Correct. So define the current state, then what?
Yeah, define the current state. And what you do then is a lot of times we use Post-its. And we subdivide the process into smaller parts, and what they contribute to that overall process, so that we do get as much detail as we possibly can. Then we go through and try to get an idea of what the time is, what the resources are in that process. Okay. So we can kind of define the current states from a people requirement standpoint, equipment standpoint, and a time standpoint, to be able to work through that process.
Absolutely.
And from that, then we have a little bit of a brainstorming session of what is an ideal state. What would we like to be like?
Sure.
And a lot of times, sometimes we have to do some research and also bring in some outside experts who can give us a vision of what could happen.
Absolutely.
So somehow we have to have a new vision.
Yes.
So once and
it has to be understood as well. The buy-in of the vision. Sure.
The buy-in of the vision. Yeah. So and we try to, in our jobs, is give companies a chance to interact with other companies that are possibly doing it at a higher level than they are.
Sure.
And so there's the peer-to-peer learning experience that accompanies that.
Sure.
And so they come back with ideas, whether it's robotics or whether it's streamlined processes or whatever it may be. And so they have a future state then. And so everybody buys into that. Then as a team, because we've worked together at this point, and hopefully we've gelled to a point where we see what what we're trying to accomplish is what has to change.
Absolutely. Yes.
And from that standpoint, we then have we try to have a process to control those changes in some kind of a management system to look at those projects and follow through one at a time and as we move towards that future state.
Yeah, there's a lot of action items, or there'll be a Gantt chart, a PDCA, plan, do, check, act, who's going to do what, when, where, how, with whom, that those, evaluating the results of certain actions that perhaps did not work. A lot of it's time sensitive because sometimes there's a Kaizen blitz, right? Where you have 1 day, 1 or 2 day max, and
Might
you're
be
going to
quick.
go there.
You have to do
Something quick, maybe a quick 5S event, and then there's the long-term Kaizens where where you bring outside contractors and resources, restructuring of the line layout, process flow. But if when upper management has given you all the support and the resources and the committed finances and so forth,
right.
At least you're able to picture maybe mentally and see the light at the end of the tunnel of this vision. There's a passage of the Bible, write the vision, make it plain, so to speak. So if you have to always see it internally before you seize it, before you conquer it, before you do it. So that's one of the things that it's a challenge to bring people from different academic backgrounds, different experience levels, from the operator level to senior management, functional manager, and have them all say, you know what, we're going to do this together, and we agree with the goals and objectives. That could be. Have you encountered in your lifetime people that you go in there with the go-get spirit, and suddenly there's a roadblock? And maybe there's a disagreement, not necessarily with the team, but with the objectives that they want to meet?
Well, we clearly want everybody to agree on the objectives to begin with. And then you also recognize that does happen.
Correct.
So we want to stay positive as our efforts move towards whatever our future state wants to be. And so you, as a facilitator, you have to have an individual in the group called a facilitator.
Sure.
That person knows the process. That person knows that we have to do an evaluation, a design, and then we have to then determine our future state and what action items have to occur, and along those lines. And if there's a veering off, there should be some ground rules that are established before as you're starting the team.
Sure.
So that we have some fun sometimes when we're sitting around a table. I'll bring some marshmallows and put them in some bowls. And if somebody's veering off the subject matter and plan, we just we just hit them with a couple of marshmallows to try to bring them back in line again. Having fun.
Yes.
You want to make it fun too, because you want those people to come back next time. You do have another Kaizen and value their time and value the individuals. So there's things you can do to try to control the negative or the individuals who are trying to get you off track.
Yeah, that's that storming, forming, norming.
Exactly. You got it. You understand those things. Exactly.
Absolutely. Ground rules for me are very important. Sometimes we in general make, I would not say the mistake, but sometimes it's not in our radar about that there are ground rules, that, you're working in a professional, ethical place, and that we have goals and objectives to meet, and time is money, right? Time, the essence of time. How do you prepare?
One of the things that makes me think about it from a religious standpoint is the individuals you put on the team, the individuals you get in your organization should have the same values as each other.
Absolutely.
So we respect each other because of our values. And so a big part of that is trying to put that team together that would have the values of working together and becoming team players, and excuse me, and the individuals are important.
Sure.
in a team environment and respecting each other.
That's very, very important. That's great to remind ourselves the value of people, and it's trust, it's synergy, it's mutual respect,
Mm-hmm.
it's understanding that despite the fact that we come from different departments, different roles and responsibilities within the hierarchy or the
Mm-hmm.
org chart of an organization, how we're able to bring cross functional team players in order for a common goal.
Mm-hmm.
How, there has to be like 100 projects or 100 visits that you have had in
It's
so many
been a lot of fun. Yes.
41. That's a lot of visits. How do
Yeah.
you prepare? How do you prepare yourself for these events mentally? Because you may have been in a medical
Mm-hmm.
company doing some kaizen or a team forming building, whatever the subject matter is. Then you're into automotive, and then you're here. You also have the challenge that you may go to a very elite company, a very senior company, and
Yeah.
then there may be a mom and pop. There may be a
Very
company
easily.
starter. Let's put
Mm-hmm.
it out. Company starter. How do you prepare for those events mentally to charge yourself up to say, I'm going to go. This is going to be a 3-day event. I
Mm-hmm.
need to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that I eat well, sleep well, go to the gym maybe. How does Elliot prepare for that?
Well, I think my preparation in going to the different companies is, first of all, I do some research on that company so I have an idea of what they do.
Sure.
So do a little bit of online reviewing, some Google searching and stuff of that sort. So I have a little bit of background too. I talk to them first of all and find out what their goals are to make sure that that I have the skills to help them move from one level to the other. Is it a quality issue? Is it an environmental issue? Is it those kind of things? Because my expertise, personally, if you talk about
Sure.
the area that I've put a lot of my energy and time in, the area that I feel like I can contribute, is in a quality management system. Is in companies that are looking at their customers and figuring out how better to satisfy their customers or how to
Right.
satisfy their customers. So a lot of my skills deal with that, along with problem solving too. So I guess in preparation for going to a company, I guess you have to have a personality that wants to learn.
Yes.
So I go in there with an attitude of, I just don't know. I want to learn from y'all.
Be curious.
Be curious, and companies love to when you come in there and don't act like act like you know everything.
A professor and
professor. So I'm in there excited.
Sure.
I'm enthusiastic and I want to learn.
Sure.
And then as I learn, I can then understand how the pieces come together. And there's a lot of tools you can use then to help support those tools. Basically. I simplify life. I think we complicate things too much. When it comes to going into a company, I have mindsets for looking at resources. All the things that company needs to have in order to do their job, and it's the same for any company, whether it's a medical industry or whether it's it's the military or anybody. Is they have machines they deal with, they have materials that they have in spec. They have people that have to be competent.
Correct.
In caring. They've got methods that they have to follow. They have to have an environment where it's conducive for people want to get their job done.
Absolutely. Yes.
So all I do is go in there and look for those 5 things.
Wow, that's a great macro way of doing things.
Yeah.
I've worked in the micro and the macro environments, and one of the things that I do to understand a process, and this you may not be familiar with, it's called a SIPOC, a supplier input process output customer. It's looking at all what feeds this process from what angles, from the raw material side to the information side, all the logistics, not only from an entire assembly or process, but also working at a work cell level. I've been in many companies where they have one assembly line, and either you have an automotive coming out of the assembly line fully assembled and completed every 5 to 10 minutes. It was called tag time, or a riding lawnmower company, Electrolux and Spartanburg. Or it's just like I've had that opportunity. But what really impressed me about those companies is how the synchronization of effort. of everybody working in that specific tag time. And when the
Right.
worst thing would be to have an red and-on light on top of
I'm
you,
familiar with that. Yes.
and you have to stop the line and
Right.
figure
Right.
out, what's going on in this specific area. And
Yes.
that's really great that you do your research on the company. You look at the objectives of the company. Know that there's similarities no matter what industry that you're in,
That's right.
and finding out their why. Now we're talking about singular or specific individuals. And how do you during your training, are there people that may be asking themselves, I know what my strengths are. How do I identify my weak areas? And how does Elliot help me identify and improve on my weaknesses? Your strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Your SWOT.
Exactly.
So I know what my strengths are. You said that you do quality. You do quality management systems, processes. Now you have a professional before you saying, these are my strengths, but these are also my weaknesses. Can you assist me?
Good point. I guess first of all, in the weaknesses, one of the questions we ask when we go into the companies is, "Where's your pain?
That's a good way of putting it.
Where's your pain?"
Sure.
And a lot of times that gives them the ability to not have to focus in on themselves, but focus in on the processes they're working in.
Correct.
Okay, so for example, an individual who knows the sales side of things, they know the financial side of the business, but they're having a difficult time with the people side of their business.
Correct.
And so when I ask them what are their pains, they're going to say, I can't get people to communicate with me. And so, or they can say issues like, I'm good at everything, but I try to do everything for everybody,
right,
and I'm just disorganized.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so, or they would say something along the lines that, we can get it done, but I have a hard time with people following the rules. There's an issue of the habits they have coming in, and I can't quite get them to follow the rules.
Correct.
And so, from that standpoint, once you identify what the pain is, there are tools that you can use as a consultant, as an individual coming in to help, that will help support their ability to do things that they may not be the best at.
Absolutely, yes.
And so you focus in on that. For example, organization. You're very familiar. You mentioned 5S already.
Yes,
that's an organization skill. Everybody, you say, well, what the heck is it? It's just a place for everything and everything in its place.
Yes,
absolutely. So and that allows you to sort things out, and makes you organize your area to be able to find things. So you can help with their pain that way.
And the auditing portion of it, I always say that a clean company is a safe company, right?
Yes.
It's it's to me, working again at a micro level. Rome was not built in a day. When I look at it on a micro level of an organization, you find, okay, let's start with a project on a 5S project that is realistically doable. And when you start to sorting and organizing and cleaning and putting the your 5S stations with the broom, with the mop, or whatever the tools may be, and the shadowboarding and so forth. When they see that before and after of that, maybe a little area, it's infectious. They want to do the next area, and they want to do the next area, and so forth. So I understand that that organizational portion of it, and how valuable it is.
Yeah, but so it's really coming in there and helping them solve a pain that they may have.
So where is your pain?
Where is your pain?
I'm going to have to put that on a T-shirt. Where is it? I may be exposed to a lot of pain. I mean, there's a lot of.
So in other words, and I like to call it an opportunity. Where's your opportunity?
Sure,
but
sure.
When you're dealing with an individual who is trying to change, you can put it in a little stronger way. Absolutely. So they recognize that this is something that you can view over time to see how if it's reducing that pain or not.
So one of the things that you do is prepare future leaders. You empower of all the group, of all the candidates that are there. There's always that one person that says, I definitely want to grow. I definitely want to move forward. And it's more like a train the trainer, where you equip this individual, give them all the tool sets, give them that little bit extra time.
Right.
And then this person, it has the accountability, maybe the responsibility to empower others. Have you had cases like that where you have moments where you've been brought in to teach, to instruct, but then there's you set time aside to instruct?
Yeah, well, that's probably the biggest feedback I get. Not feedback I get. That what excites me most about my work is the opportunity to see others and see the light bulb go off.
Okay,
that's the passion I have. That's the interest I have. I'm not going to be around that much longer as far as work is concerned. I'll probably have 4 more years, and that's. My wife says
you don't want to do another 10?
My wife says less than that, but because I think our goal would be to move towards our grandkids, and they're in another location.
Yes,
so,
sure.
But anyway, to be able to do that though, we have to first of all, what I've realized you have to first do is understand what it's going to take for that person to excel in the area that they're trying to grow in.
Correct.
So from that standpoint, we want to be able to identify what are the skills, what is the individual's capabilities need to be in order for them to be successful and thrive in that environment.
Correct.
And so by identifying what the skills are, then as we meet the individuals, I meet the individuals and learn about them. And, the important thing is to be able to, and I know we'll probably talk about this some other time, but the issue of walking into somebody else's shoes.
Correct.
The more I can understand what it is to be in their shoes and understand where they've come from, and what their experience has been, it gives me an idea to understand where they fit into the skill set that they need to have in order to excel at the next level.
Oh, outstanding. So whatever their goals, they have obviously some responsibilities within the group, and they want to improve themselves, to get the material to train others, but they also have personal aspirations, perhaps for promotion or just to become a more effective employee, more effective leader, and so forth. There's something that you said that I wrote down. It says leadership today is evolving from having all the answers to asking the right questions. Now that was a very impactful sentence. How can you elaborate on that, please?
Well, I'm jealous of your books. I have a book inside of me,
okay,
and that's what it's all about.
Oh, really?
Yes. I'm not sure if it'll ever come out. Maybe I can talk you into writing one like that.
I can help you out with that. Absolutely.
But anyway, as I mentioned before, the ability to identify an individual and their strengths and where they're at right now, and understand what it is that they have to acquire in order to develop themselves and grow within the organization, is also about the ability to not come in and be the one that gives them all the answers. You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. That's more of a manager that would kind of lay that groundwork out. What motivates a person is when a person understands that they can accomplish those things, that they can grow. Therefore, to help them in that path, knowing the right questions, knowing where they should be, in my mind, and how do I lead them towards that direction?
Okay.
And for them to be able to actually take it into their heart, they need to be the ones to discover it. So by asking them the questions allows them to walk that path and learn that on their own.
Outstanding.
And so once they're able to gain that passion and that understanding and what it's going to take, they're motivated then. I guess we could one of the things we haven't talked about is habits, the habits people have.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
So when I talk about walking in somebody else's shoes, is a lot of times individuals have habits that are detrimental to their ability to grow in the organization.
Can you elaborate on at least one of them? Failure to communicate, I guess.
Well, it could be failure to communicate, but the worst thing is to not have trust in their management, because they've been with an individual who has always told them what to do and never engaged them and made them feel valued.
A value.
Made them feel valued. So, the biggest thing that I can think of, so by allowing them to asking them the questions, let them learn and grow, it shows to them that I value them and allowing them to learn on their own.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great perspective because one of the things that I had to adjust is the fact that again that because people come from different organizations that perhaps did not have the culture, the skill sets, the camaraderie, the synergy, may come to a new organization and have those habits, whereas they have done things so much in a way or express themselves or did not participate, failed to communicate and all that. And sometimes as a manager trying to navigate those waters and become empathetic in the sense that I'm the type of individual that I like to see the positive in everybody. That,
Yes,
I see them as a diamond in the rough, so to speak. Yes, they have great hard skills, but there's some soft skills that they need to work on. And you talked about finding the right tool sets on how to do this. Also, age groups have also been a challenge for me because it's easier for me, obviously, to speak at someone at my age and or a lesser age. But then when you're speaking to an engineer that came back to the workforce and is 15 years your senior, and you're trying to say, hey, you point out some opportunities for growth, opportunities for this new culture or this new world that has different strategies, different mindset. We're talking about the technologically methods. We're working with AI now and all these other tool sets, robotics and all that. And they've got this old school mindset of how things should be done.
Right.
And I've always done it this way. For them to acclimate and to be influenced to do right, to join the group has always been an art to for any manager.
Right. And I think it goes back to being able to communicate to those individuals the why.
Correct.
And if you can't explain to them the why, it's important for them to adventure into these new technologies and explain to them so they can buy into it. And then from that standpoint, it's still very difficult because they're caught in their old ways, is to actually walk them through and nurture them and get them to express themselves as they go through that. So it really takes it takes a mentor to help somebody create a new habit.
Correct.
And the only way new habits are going to be created is by identifying the why, and also through time, through practice, through actually doing it over and over again until it becomes a new habit.
Do you mentor? I mean, because you only have a certain amount of days with an individual. Do you have you in your profession, Georgia Tech, or you in your profession, mentored someone a little bit longer?
Those are the projects I really love.
Okay,
really love. I've got a company in the Augusta area that has contracted me just to come in 6 times a year, every other month, and just have lunch with them.
Nice.
And it gives me a chance to pose to them some new tools, some new techniques, some new thoughts on how to treat people, especially the issue of listening and the leadership role of engaging your people and making them feel valued.
Correct. That's so important in any organization. What would you say is the difference between someone that has the aspiration and desire for continuous growth, continuous development, both professionally and personally, and that individual that is more so stagnant in a sort of mindset, that perhaps they had great habits starting their career, and then gradually throughout the years for X reason, we don't know, but has remained stagnant. What do you think it differentiates between a powerful, motivated leader with a mindset for growth and a person that threw in the towel and said, I'm just going to stay in this plateau?
Well, there's a big, that becomes challenging because those habits are hard to change and hard to break. If there's a place for those individuals in the organization where they can be stagnant and just perform work That's one thing. If there's a need for the company to put people in places where they're more accepting of change and more accepting of growth and learning new things, then there just needs to be some honesty, really. In which case, either helping that individual, with their career decisions, where they're going to go, being honest with them, helping them out, and do those things. So then it becomes a why, because if there's an issue that the company is moving in a direction and they don't want to move in that direction, they need to understand that the company also has to survive too. So there's a wise thing. My job is going to depend on it.
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
and just have to give them the opportunity to understand that. Be honest with them.
So there's specific. I know there's an array of strategies and methodologies, from setting the classroom to preparing the material
Right.
to getting the feedback, finding that the difficult why am I here? Why I have been brought in to teach, to coach, to mentor. Then you find out their personality traits, their engagement level within that organization, and with I think that those specific, maybe training blitz or the frequency visiting every other month, gives you that world of experience, that you have so much
Yeah.
experience to enter into a new environment, that despite the fact that you don't know the people, it might be a new company,
Mm-hmm.
it might be in a different area or a different industry, but your experience over so many companies that you have worked, perhaps nonprofit organizations. So
Mm-hmm.
have you been to nonprofits,
Yes, I have.
a
Yes.
for-profit, nonprofit, and probably everything in between? Small companies, maybe 30 from 500 or 1,000.
Right.
What's the biggest company that you have done?
Well, a lot of the companies now that we're working with,
Sure.
even in Augusta, are working 1,000 employees, that kind
Oh,
of thing.
1,000
So
employees.
the issue is that one of the things that Georgia Tech tries to do, and what I try to do, is stay ahead of the game when it comes to certain standards, certain changes that may occur. So that for example, the quality management system standard ISO 9001 now is going to become moved from 2015 to 2026.
Correct. Yes.
And so you're aware of that. So it's being able to help companies understand the changes that occur. So
Yes.
it's being willing to change myself and to stay ahead of the game and be and have value in what I can offer the companies is the way to do that. Yeah.
You know, one of the things that it was very interesting when we got the invitation to go to the boat.
Yes, that was fun. Yes,
that was here in Augusta. It was I'm not sure if I'm saying this correctly. It was a boat ride toward the canal, the ferry, whatnot, and how you were able to bring different operations managers, CEOs, functional managers all together for
Yes.
a meet and greet. And it was so beneficial because there was one of the exercises was, what's your why? What's your pain? You know, how can you grow?
Exactly, yes.
And then within that small activity, what action items and or activities, countermeasures could we propose and be creative in order to solve that particular issue. And it was very interesting for me and very beneficial because we work from different industries.
Yes,
And yet we were able to put that aside and see the human side and the leadership side of
Right.
each and every one of us in order to come together to solve common issues regardless
Doesn't matter,
of the
yes.
industry. How often do you guys do such an activity?
Yeah, we try to do that we have a thing called a consortium, and we're made up of about 13 different companies, and each company is willing to have us come into their location. And we try to do is try to identify those companies who are exemplary in some area, whether it's quality, safety, environment, process improvement, implemented some robotics and things like that. So, and again, that's a way that the companies can share with each other and interject new visions for each other by doing that. It is interesting, like you said, the area that it came down to was the area that we focus in on a lot is leadership.
Leadership.
It's just leadership, workforce development, and trying to address the changing needs of the workforce.
Correct. Yes.
And so, but a big part of the changing needs of the workforce is not the type of workers coming in, but it's the type of management style that's been around for a long time and the way we've done it.
Oh wow, that's I mean that's a different perspective on how to look at things.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly. And it was interesting. One of our specialists from Georgia Tech was there, Mike, and the Stone Cipher. And in his presentation, somebody says, "If only we could get some workers, these young workers coming in and willing to work hard." And he turned around and says, "Yeah, and you know what they're saying? If only we get managers that understand me."
Oh wow. Yes, it's definitely a new generation. Sometimes when I look at major global players, and of course we look at Oracle and Apple and Google and so many other industries. You know, when you look at the leadership, senior leadership, are individuals that are probably 25, maybe 27.
Yes.
You know, they the younger generation would call those individuals old. You're 27 years old, you're 28 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Generations.
different generations, but I'm that type of leader. I'm a very dynamic leader, and there's so much that can be done. That old mindset. It's really evaporating. It's no longer effective in this day and age.
Exactly.
How the world's working with AI technology, automation, and so forth. And this new generation has the boldness to ask why and to ask questions.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was more you receive instructions. You have a manager behind a desk just giving the instructions. You do this time, this manner, and so forth. When now it's more participative, more malleable, I would say. And so adapting to the times, and I'm a constant learner. If you see all these books behind you, I've got something that says "The Power of Habit," other people's habit. I mean, I try to learn, because this is the challenge for us managers for this day and age. You have a young workforce that comes, but they're very technologically driven. Whether it be through social media, everything's computer, everything's animated, everything's a laptop and tablets, everything is courses online. We didn't have that as I was growing up. I come from the beeper era, but nowadays they want information faster.
Yes.
They don't want they need a visual presentation, something that they can engage in and interact with, and immediate feedback on that. And I'm glad that you embrace that, and in your training. They get it. They get it all. They get the visual. They get the participated. They get the teamwork. They get the immediate feedback, and those are the things that I guess that's the challenge for Mr. Elliot, is going to these companies and having to maybe open the mindset of the new old school management styles.
That's our biggest thing we try to do and that's where the changing role of the leader is to have all the right questions, not all the right answers, to allow those young people to participate and engage, and even the other ones, so that they feel that they're valued, and that there's and they learn from themselves. They get to discover the answer instead of having to be told the answer.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a big thing too. So yeah, and we got to be realistic. My generation, the baby boomers. I'm probably 10% of the baby boomers left in the workforce right now.
Okay.
72 years old. I'm going to work till I'm 75.
You look great.
I feel good.
Right.
I feel good. But I recognize the differences and the importance of allowing these individuals. And what's happening with this young generation is that they're just not tolerant. Where individuals in the baby boom generation, they're tolerant of being treated wrong. They're tolerant of not being communicated to. They're tolerant of that. These young ones coming in are not tolerant of that, because they recognize that there's competition out there. If you don't let me grow now, my next door neighbor is going to take my job, and I'll never get to it. So they recognize the pyramid effect, and that it gets smaller as you go that pyramid.
Correct.
And so they recognize that if you can't help me grow and develop and learn now, then I'm actually falling behind my competition.
Oh, that's a very interesting perspective. Nowadays I see more and more younger and younger entrepreneurs. I see
They're
more and
hungry.
more.
They're hungry.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say overnight millionaires, but when you look at through social media and the new products, whether you're in music or in producing a specific brand or product, these young entrepreneurs are definitely hungry,
Mm-hmm.
are definitely ambitious. They're goal oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Their why is clear to them, and they don't give up as easily. Meaning
Mm-hmm.
that they'll do whatever they need to do in order to find out how to do things,
Yes.
and
Yes.
they'll find the information whether through all these AI platforms that now with a YouTube or ChatGPT, or Gemini, or Cloud,
Mm-hmm.
or so many things that
They
there's
can do
instant
that.
information. Where now we probably paid for courses, back in the day to try to, how do I fix my motor or how do I do this? For them, that information is
That's
very
right.
interesting. I would like to end with always this question, because if someone wants to follow your footsteps
Mhm.
and wants to become an instructor and be malleable enough to enter a workforce that's very different nowadays, very technologically driven, what kind of leadership skill sets would they need to acquire or develop, perhaps enhance, in order to become an effective instructor, an effective individual that can come in to any company, regardless of the background with technology? Again, whether it be medical, pharmaceutical,
Mm-hmm.
automotive,
Mm-hmm.
and everything in between. In order to become that effective instructor, what skill sets would that person need in order to run a career successfully?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think one of the two areas: the interpersonal skills, and then the technical skills, and both are important. One thing I found as I was going through and became a journalist is how do I have a deep end of my pool so that there's something that somebody would be willing to pay me for.
Okay.
Therefore, I focused in on the area of quality, like you have, and made a career of it. And we've both been very successful. So somehow, at some point, you need to have that deep into your pool that you become the expert that people are willing to listen to. And then from that, then you have to be a generalist also. You have to understand how all the other management systems come together to do that. But in order for you to go in and instruct others on how to do things, you have to have that experience, that knowledge. So a big part of it is to once you find out what your deep end is going to be, do everything you can do, whether it's going to school or getting a job and getting experience. Sometimes it's worth taking a job that's paying less if it's going to give you the experience in the area that you want to develop in and grow in.
That's interesting.
So
I have a coworker that says
it's an investment.
it's an investment. You have to invest to progress.
I love that term.
You have
Yeah,
to invest to progress.
progress. Yeah,
But you are the product. I mean, it's about how much you invest, how much you take the time to be disciplined to do that.
yeah.
That's well, again, this has been a lot. I love the fact that you have shown us that when you approach a company, first of all, you do the research of the company.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That of course, there's some conversations and emails and phone calls in between to try to find out their why of what's the purpose,
the pain,
what's your pain, what's the subject matter. Based on that information, you tailor your presentation and the student materials and all the class materials. Yeah. The fourth, you gauge the room to find out what are these different personality types in order to engage them by going around the room, asking them, what are their hobbies, what do they do. And once you have somewhat broken the ice and presented you're starting to present your class material, how you engage them in order to bring synergy, camaraderie. And for those that are still resistant to change, may fall in line with the golden objective. I love the fact that you mentioned to have the group define that current state and come to an agreement to what does this future state look like, and have buy-in and agreement with the action items needed in order to take that into fruition.
Exactly.
I love the fact that you mentioned honesty. They have to be honest with one another and practice trust and empathy and sympathy, and to work as one unit in order to ensure that once the class is over, or maybe one day, whether it be a 1 day or 3 day event, that there's a complete satisfaction about the course material and about their internal performance, because Mr. Elliot has to move on to another project, and they stay there, and they have to work with those action items that are still pending because they're waiting on XYZ. But at least they found a person that was instrumental and foundational about having putting things aligned so that they can be successful. I want to thank you for
thank you. Yes,
coming
I've
to this
enjoyed
podcast, and I know we can talk for hours because it's a wealth of knowledge. It's a lot of years, and I know I'm going to pick your brain after we're said and done. But this has been Daniel Badijo with Mr. Elliot Price from Georgia MEP. There's so much to give. Next time we're going to talk about the nonprofit and all he's doing in the community. Once again, thank you for all your support through Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Watch us on that YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell. I will see you on the next episode.